Away from Chick-fil-A, which shows you that DEI, wokeness, it's all just really the conclusion of liberalism. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's even in your religious chicken sandwich. And it's especially at Disney. There was a fairly disturbing video, came out of Disneyland, out of the Enchanted Chamber Princess Boutique. And it is of a pretty little princess with a mustache. It's a dude dressed up as a princess. And he's not one of the enthusiasts. He is one of the workers there, employed by Disney. Take a look or a listen if you're driving in your car.
So my name's Nick. I'm one of Fairy Godmother's apprentices. I'm here to shop you around and make all your selections for the day.
Talking to a little girl. He's got lots of eyeshadow on and just a big bushy mustache, trying to sell extremely overpriced dresses for little girls to those poor
parents who are going to have to shell out a ton of money. Okay, what's wrong with this scene? The mustache is a problem. Yeah, the fact that it's an obvious dude wearing a dress, that's a problem. The bigger problem, though, is who this is for. It's not even just that Disney World is for kids, and so this weird sexual stuff has no place in front of kids. It's even more than the question of kids or minors or what's appropriate for certain ages. It's a question of who are these people serving? What is the point of Disney World? What is the point of any of these companies? Is it about the customer or is it about the fantasies of the employee? We used to have a saying in America, which is that the customer is always right. Now, the customer doesn't seem to matter at all. Customer doesn't matter at all with Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. Customer doesn't matter at all with Target. Customer doesn't even matter at Disney World and Disneyland. Who is this for? When I was a young man, I was young, coming up in show business, and I'd sometimes take these service industry jobs. One of which I was hired to be a fake sommelier at a wedding. The wedding was actually for George Soros. It's a story for another time. But I remember we were all there. It was the caterers and the sommelier and all these people. And the guy who was running the event, he said, "Hey, what is this about? What are we all here for?" And in my mind, I thought, I don't know, we're here to make a quick buck and then go back to our regular lives. But no, he said, no, what this is all about, what this is for is service. Your job here is to serve the customer, especially if you're in the service industry. But increasingly in our economy and in our whole culture, it's not about the customer. It's not about the people we're supposed to serve. It's somehow the other way around. Little kids don't go to Disneyland so that they can affirm some deviant man's delusions. Parents don't spend an arm and a leg to take their kids to Disneyland so that their kids can be exposed to a mustachioed, strange fellow living out his fantasy of being a pretty princess. Okay, if you want to take the job as a pretty princess, you definitely have to shave the mustache, and you got to be a chick, because it's not about you, and princesses are chicks, and you're not. So you've got to put your fantasies aside, especially when we're talking about a place like Disneyland, which is supposed to indulge the fantasies of little children for whom it is appropriate to have little fantasies and play act them out sometimes. For adults, it's not appropriate to do that. One of the big cases to enshrine transgenderism in our law was the Harris Funeral Home case. And the Harris Funeral Home case, before the Supreme Court, raised a question of, do employees have an obligation to follow the rules sometimes for the benefit of their customers? There's this funeral home, Harris Funeral Homes, and one of the employees at the funeral home was a dude who thought he was a chick. And so one day he decided he was going to wear little skirts and put on lipstick and go in and do his job. And the owner of the funeral home said, "Hey man, I don't know what's going on with you. Obviously you got some issues, but we've got to be respectful to our customers. When people come to the funeral home, they're grieving, they're in a very vulnerable state, they don't need distractions, they don't need to deal with some weird political ideology. They're trying to grieve their dead loved ones. And so it's not about you, it's about them." And this strange fellow decided, no, it's actually all about me, and he sued him, and he ended up winning the case. Now that's enshrined in law. We're not going to have a good society if we invert that order. Are we around here to serve others in accordance with reason and the truth, or do we just view everybody in the world, including poor little kids, including their parents who spend a lot of money to take them to Disneyland, do we just view them merely as instruments to serve us and our deviant desires? Two totally different societies. By the way, when you want to satiate your appetites and desires, the best way to do it is obviously with Good Ranchers. Right now, head on over to goodranchers.com, use promo code Knowles. This Father's Day, let your dad unleash his inner grill master. Whether he prefers a sizzling steak or savory grilled chicken, look no further than the gift of meat from our friends at Good Ranchers. Good Ranchers offers ribeyes, New York strips, T-bones, all natural burgers, and the most delicious chicken you could ever want. Plus, right now, you will get $30 off with our code Knowles at goodranchers.com. Good Ranchers also offers a price lock guarantee for the next 2 years, which is completely insane. Imagine if you could have locked in your price 2 years ago, you would have saved hundreds of dollars. Not sure how to grill the perfect steak? Well, they've got tons of recipes on their website, like one of our great favorites, how to cook a steak better than Gordon Ramsay. Whether your dad is a steak lover, a barbecue enthusiast, or just enjoys a good old-fashioned burger, Good Ranchers has the best burgers in the business. By the way, unbelievable steaks too, but the burgers are making me salivate thinking about them. You got to order today. Make this Father's Day a success. Go to goodranchers.com. Use code Knowles, K-N-O-W-L-E-S, for $30 off any box. Promo code Knowles at goodranchers.com. Good Ranchers, American meat delivered. Right now, go to puretalk.com/Knowles. We're all trying to improve the country here, aren't we? And therefore, we've got to be a little bit discerning about the partners that we choose to work with. And one company I'm very, very proud to stand behind, and a company that's very proud to stand behind us and our country, is Pure Talk. Veteran-owned with a 100% American workforce, they share our beliefs, our desires for this country. That is why Pure Talk is the official cell phone wireless partner of the Daily Wire. But that's not the only reason. Pure Talk also happens to be the most dependable 5G network in the United States. They've got a top-tier service at a fraction of the cost of those other woke companies. You know the ones I'm talking about, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, those companies that don't care about you or your values. In fact, you can get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data with a mobile hotspot for just $55 a month. You vote with how you spend your money. So stop supporting woke wireless companies that don't support you. Instead, go to puretalk.com/Knowles. You will get great coverage and save while you're doing it. Go to puretalk.com/Knowles. Save an additional 50% off your first month because they actually care about you. Go to puretalk.com/Knowles. Pure Talk, wireless for Americans, by Americans. You see this kind of madness, especially in higher education. There was a law school commencement ceremony at CUNY that featured a speaker. Sometimes these commencements have student speakers, and the student speakers are usually kind of goody two-shoes types, but increasingly they can be left-wing activists who are speaking out on behalf of the student body. And one such speech came from Fatima Mohammed, student speaker for CUNY Law School. And Fatima Mohammed made all sorts of claims. She's a pro-Palestine activist. She really doesn't like Israel. Not a huge fan of a certain ancient nomadic tribe of people. And so she makes her comments about that. But she's broadly against the West. She's against white people and patriarchy. And that is how her speech is being reported. Pro-Palestine student goes off on the Jews, or left-wing student goes off on white supremacy and the patriarchy. But there's something even more insidious about this girl's law school speech. See if you can pick it up.
I'm here to celebrate who and what we are, who you are. Like many of you, I chose CUNY School of Law for its articulated mission to be law in the service of human needs. One of very few legal institutions created to recognize that the law is a manifestation of white supremacy that continues to oppress and suppress people in this nation and around the world. We joined this institution to be equipped with the necessary legal skills to protect our communities, to protect the organizers fighting endlessly day in and out with no accolades, no cameras, no votes, no PhD grants, working to lift the facade of legal neutrality and confront the systems of oppression that wreak violence on them.
The craziest thing about this speech is not that the pro-Palestine girl hates the Jews. The craziest thing about this speech is not that the leftist girl hates the white people and the men and the patriarchy and all the rest. It's that sentence right at the top where she says, CUNY recognizes that the law is just a facade to uphold white supremacy. The craziest thing she says in her speech is about the law. Because this girl graduated from law school. She was selected to be the speaker at her law school graduation. She doesn't know what the law is. She doesn't believe in the law. The law, at its most basic level, is an ordinance of reason for the common good by the one who has care of the community and promulgated. That's the description of the law, the definition that St. Thomas Aquinas gives. It's a really basic, very good one. A related concept is justice. Justice is a habit, a virtue that inclines the will to render to each and to all what he deserves. Again, really basic definition of justice. What this girl says at her law school graduation is, oh, the law, justice, that's all BS. The law, it's fake. The law is totally fake. Thank you for giving me my law degree. The law is totally fake. It is not an ordinance of reason. It is not for the common good. It's nothing more than a bunch of gobbledygook that we use to enshrine the tyranny of will, of the willfulness of one group, which is the white people or the Jews or whoever she's going off on, people that I hate. And so what we do when we go to law school is we just get a credential that allows us to wield this deceptive instrument for our own tyranny of will, to give ourselves more power and to dominate the groups, the white people and the Jews and the men and whoever that we hate. That's what she's saying. That's the not so subtle subtext of all of it. She's saying the law is not objective, the law is not just, the law is not real, the law does not derive from anything outside of our own desires. That's the state of higher education. That's the state of the law. That's the state of justice in America. If our next generation of lawyers, of the people who are supposed to be running the show in the political order, does not believe in law, then we're going to have lawlessness. And I'll tell you what, if this lady doesn't like what America looks like with law and order, just wait until she sees America without law and order. Because yes, the positive law, the civil law, is sometimes an imperfect reflection of the natural law and the background principles of justice that exist even outside of our own personal experience and desire. Yeah, that's true. Yes, it's true that the system of justice is imperfect and sometimes innocent people go to jail and sometimes guilty people get off the hook. And yeah, that's all true. But if you think a law-abiding America is bad, just wait until you see a lawless America. This is how I feel about attacks on Christian nationalism. Christian religious right. People say, oh, I hate the religious right. Oh man, you think the religious right is bad? Just wait until you see the irreligious right. or the irreligious left, though I suppose that's a redundant phrase. Oh, you think Christian nationalism is bad? Just wait until you see unchristian nationalism. Because that's going to be a lot worse. A society where even the people who graduate with the law degrees don't think there's anything objective here. Boy, that was a great clip. Make sure you ring that bell, subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.